What is the difference between commending someone and recommending someone? From time to time, we experience something like this. Probably you are handling a department in your job and you're supervisor or you're one of the directors. And from time to time, you commend your employees, your teammates, or maybe the other way around, you're being commended by your supervisors. And then all of a sudden, sometimes they would ask some recommendation letters from you. What's the difference? When we commending is praising or praises or approves based on past actions or current character. Maybe because of his good job or something he did very well, you commend. While recommending involves vouching or guaranteeing for someone's future suitability for a work or a role or a task. Di ba? Would you recommend someone for this job and then you would give some letter or email? Then I realized if this is the difference between commending and recommending, and we are very familiar of this, then therefore we can say ideally, we can only recommend someone, we can also commend. Correct? It's hard to recommend someone that you do not commend. How would you vouch for that person if the person is not commendable in the first place? Diba? So in that notion, let me ask one more question. Have you ever written a commendation or recommendation letter for someone? Have you found it so challenging sometimes, especially if you don't know the person? Because ideally, you can only recommend someone you can also commend. It's like, how can you introduce or guarantee a restaurant that you have not tried their food? Something like that. And I want you to concentrate and take out all the distractions around you. I would lead you in a conversation that Apostle Paul did the same thing twice, these two, commending and recommending someone in the Scripture. Apostle Paul both recommended and commended a person in the most crucial way when he wrote a letter, an epistle, to a church that he did not yet visited, or he has not visited yet. So how crucial commendation and letter of recommendation in the first century. I'm talking about a person by the name of Phoebe. Probably not all of us are familiar. I don't know, the young people, maybe you have not heard. I want you to listen very carefully for all of us. Phoebe is not a very popular character in the New Testament, but brothers and sisters, she is a remarkable person that can only be described in two verses. Romans 16, verses 1 and 2. And allow me to entitle this conversation this morning, A Commendable Follower. When I was reading and studying the life story of Phoebe, I said, wow, this woman is a commendable servant and follower of Jesus Christ. What made Paul commend and recommend at the same time such a woman in a patriarchal society of the Greco-Roman world? We know in a patriarchal world, women has no rights, no voice. People would not listen to a testimony by a woman. They are less priority when it comes to education. They cannot even have a position in civil or any political position. In a Greco-Roman world where patriarchy is number one, or people are looking up to men who are brusco and macho and loud and everything. And how can Paul write a letter to Rome? Hindi lang basta-basta syudad. Rome is the capital or the central of civilization in the Roman world. What made Phoebe such a very commendable follower? And I was trying to dissect the life of this woman in the two verses and trying to reach out to extra biblical account about their lives. I came to a conclusion. The thing that makes us commendable has something to do with our character. Because again, ideally, we can only recommend someone who is commendable. So here's the thought. Here's the big idea that I want you to catch and bring home in this conversation. Your faithful heart will set you apart. what makes us distinguish from other employees? What makes you different from other employees in your company? What makes you different from other students in your school or in your batch? What makes you different from others? It is your heart. It is our heart that will set us apart. Meaning, it is our integrity and character, the trustworthiness of a person that will set you apart from the rest. They will not only look for skills. Maybe 20, 30 years ago in the secular world, what matters to them is your skills, your ability. But in the last 20 years, they already shifted because they realize it's not just the skill that matters, it's the character of the employee. Loyalty, honesty, integrity of the employee. Not just because you're good in what you're doing. Companies now are looking for something that would merit deeper than abilities and skills. So, what makes us commendable and recommendable is our good character. Now, apply that to our walk with Christ. See, Phoebe, she was a faithful, because when Paul was about to choose who would carry the book of Romans, one of the most important letters of Apostle Paul to the early churches, when he was about to choose who would carry that important document, he chose a woman by the name of Phoebe. Therefore, it speaks volume of her character, her reputation, and her integrity as a woman. Why not other leaders? Crucial. So that made a question in my mind, and some scholars would say it is because Phoebe was a trustworthy follower of Jesus Christ. So I hope as we go through the message today, we will evaluate our lives. Are we trustworthy? Because when our hearts are faithful, that sets us apart. Now, let's have a background about the letter of Paul to the Romans. Paul's epistle to the Roman churches. Why churches? Because there was no structure or building before. There's no one congregation in Rome. There were many house churches in the Roman Empire during this time. Mostly are Gentiles and Latin-speaking, or the Roman people in those times, because there was a persecution. Remember when we talk about Priscilla and Aquila, and they were driven out of Rome in AD 49 because of some decree from the So because of that span of years, most of the congregation Roman churches are predominantly Gentiles. So Paul would write them letters in the different house churches. And the book of Romans was written when he was in Corinth in AD 57. So either 56 or 57. So this is like 27 years or 25 years after the resurrection of Jesus. Can you imagine? Only 20 years, 25 years after the resurrection of Jesus, Paul started writing to a major place, which is the Roman Empire, the seat of civilization, the center of the Western or the world during that time. It was during his third missionary journey, first, the second, and the third is the last missionary journey of Paul, when he got arrested and he was brought to Rome to be executed and face his trial there. So it was during the time of the third missionary journey of Apostle Paul when he wrote the book of Romans. But where did he write that? If you are reading Romans chapter 16, Romans 16 is one of the most profound chapters in the Bible, in the New Testament in particular. Because if you read that, you will find out that Paul, when he was writing the book of Romans, he was writing it at the home of Gaius or Gaius. The host of Paul, when he was in Corinth, it is in his house that Paul was writing because he stayed for longer time in Corinth when he was writing and heard about a church or the churches in Rome. Not only that, Paul, may secretary si Paul. He usually would dictate his letters, especially when he was in prison. He would dictate, and some scribe or some of his friends would write it for him. At the end of his letter, then he would sign his name just to authenticate that it was really Paul, o kung tayo may thumbprint. So who wrote? Who was the secretary of Paul when he was writing the book of Romans? Again, in chapter 16, if we do not read it, it's in verse 22, dictated to Tertius. If you read chapter 16, verse 22, Tertius said, I, who is writing this letter, would like also to send greetings to my friends who were in Rome. But again, last is who carried the letter to Rome. According to the chapter 16, Paul would mention more than 30 names. The first name he mentioned was a woman where he only gave one recommendation, and that was Phoebe. So Phoebe was accepted to be the one who carried the letter of Paul to Rome. And here's chapter 16, verses 1 and 2. Allow me to read it to you. We will always go back to this chapter or these verses and read it and again discuss it. Okay, let me read it from the NIV translations. Paul was dictating, Tertius was writing, I commend to you our sister Phoebe, a deacon of the church in Cenchrea. I ask you to receive her in the Lord in a way worthy of His people, to give her any help she may need from you, for she has been the benefactor, in other translation, patron, of many people, including me. Now, let's begin. Who was Phoebe? Phoebe, the name Phoebe is after a pagan god. So, everybody would recognize when Paul said, I introduce to you, I recommend to you now, Phoebe, a deacon from... So, the first that comes to their minds, Phoebe, alam nila, oh, she's a Gentile. Because the name Phoebe is after a pagan god, Phoebus, which means bright, radiant, or the shining one. Phoebe was not just a Gentile, obviously from Cenchrea, but Phoebe was the bearer and the courier of the epistle of Paul to the Roman churches. And again, as I've said a while ago, it speaks volume to be the one entrusted with such a document. By the way, paano nag-travel si Phoebe? How do you protect such kind of documents? I believe it was not mentioned in Romans 16, but she did not travel alone. She probably traveled with some entourage. And you will later on realize that she's a wealthy person to be able to travel because a woman of such dignity and position in society, she must be educated, wealthy, and so on and so forth. The tasks of being a bearer and courier of a letter is not a joke, because it requires the bearer not only trustworthy, but also well-versed and acquainted in its content of the letter, because they might need to explain or defend the teachings. If you are the one carrying the letter of Paul to the Romans, you are also the one supposed to read it. Now, you have to learn how to read and write. So therefore, the scholars would say, Phoebe is an educated person to be able to explain. Because you would read such letter to a church na hindi pa nila nakita si Paul. Paul would say, I'm an apostle of Jesus Christ. I'm writing to... The book of Romans is probably one of the most highly theological letters of Paul. Kaya siya una, of all the letters of Paul, it's because of the volume, how big the letter. So if you are the bearer of the letter, you are supposed to read it aloud. And if there are any questions about the letter of Paul, she is going to explain the context. In other words, she is the first one who would exegete what is the intended meaning of the writer. Wow! If you're given such kind of a job and a task, it's not a joke. You must be a leader, mature enough. Now, rewind a little bit. By the way, Phoebe, can I trust you to bring this letter to Rome? It's not just, okay, Paul, just give me the envelope and I'll travel. No. Paul had to go through her of all the details of the book of Romans, just in case somebody asks you, this is what I meant. So she is well-versed and well-acquainted, probably spent with Paul so many days being acquainted with the letter, because as Phoebe would read the book of Romans to the church, especially when he said, the righteousness of God revealed. Excuse me, Phoebe, can you explain that? Okay, actually, what Paul meant. So can you imagine the task for Phoebe to be entrusted with such task is that she must be not only trustworthy, but also well-versed in the content of the book of Romans. So you see, why Phoebe? Because she was your heart, your faithful heart will set you apart. For Paul to select Phoebe, he would have considered so many things, not only the knowledge of Phoebe, but also the character of this woman, the reputation in the churches in Corinth. So Phoebe, in other words, was the first one to interpret and explain the book of Romans in its original audience in Rome. Brothers and sisters, it's not a joke. I'm sure all of us will find it so difficult and challenging to do a series on the book of Romans. I tried, diba? We had a series. One of the most difficult subjects in the seminary when we were talking about, we had at least 2 semesters for the book of Romans. The volumes of readings is tremendous. Even the church fathers in the first 5 centuries were having difficulty understanding the book of Romans, because that is the most important letters of Paul that turn around, that changes the theology of the people of Judaism before. Now let's go back to verses 1 and 2. So we know Phoebe. Although she had a pagan name, obviously she became Christian, and she is a trustworthy person, and she is a leader. She is well-versed, she can read, she can speak, she can actually explain the book of Romans. And here's Paul going back to the letter. Let's break it one by one, word by word, per keyword. The first one he said is, I commend. What do you mean, Paul? When he said, I commend, I introduce to you, I recommend to you, because chapter 16, that's the first verse, meaning he is the one carrying the letter. I commend to you. Why is it important to commend someone? To recommend someone who is carrying the letter? Because in those days, ang dami pong charlatans, mga bogus, mga fake news, na dadalaw, fake preachers, fake pastors. So how do you accept someone coming from somewhere without knowing their background? They would usually carry a letter of recommendation from a known friend to someone who is known in that place, and that will be the connection. If you notice in our church, I'm very, very careful when it comes to allowing persons to stand here and preach, especially from outside. It's really difficult. You would need someone to vouch. Paul, some of the persons in Rome, they know Paul, si Priscilla and Aquila, si Andronicus, saka si Junia, remember? So Paul is now establishing connection. I introduce to you this person. She is not a bogus. She is not a fake. She is a real person and vouched by our church. Remember, when I preach here about Priscilla and Aquila, remember when Apollos wanted to go to Corinth from Ephesus? Anong ginawa ng mga churches ni na Priscilla? Priscilla and Aquila wrote a letter of recommendation to Corinth for Apollos. Accept him, he is a good ana. Remember? So it was already being practiced in the early days, even today. I would always remind our pastors, don't just accept anyone who would name drop without a recommendation. I commend to you our sister Phoebe. Now, here's a similar situation when Paul would write a letter in the case of Ephesians. Tingnan niyo yung sa Ephesians. Anong sinabi ni Paul? Paul wrote to the Ephesians to bring you up to date. By the way, to give some update in this letter, Tychicus will give you a full report about what I am doing, because Tychicus is the carrier and the bearer of the Ephesian letter. And look how Paul would say that I am doing now, and he would update you. He is a beloved brother and a faithful helper in the Lord. So Paul would commend and recommend and vouch for Tychicus. Because they already know Tychicus, they visited the church. But for a Roman church that they have not visited yet, it's crucial. Now, let's go back to Romans 16. The next word is sister. I commend to you our sister. Wow. All the Greek words that you have to memorize and able to explain, the first word I learned is adelphos, which means brothers. But Paul used here very rarely adelphi, our sister. Why would Paul insert, it's not an accident, why Paul said, I commend to you our sister Phoebe, not our sister, because now Paul is establishing she may bear a pagan name, but she has been redeemed and is now part of God's family. So I want you to welcome our very own part of our family. So look at how Paul would vouch and commend Phoebe. That is the word sister or adelphi, using to the Roman churches that Phoebe was not a fraud or an impostor, but a fellow family of God. But look at the next line. I commend to you our sister Phoebe, a deacon of the church in Cenchrea. Now, the word deacon is very controversial. A lot of scholars who does not believe that women should be in leadership or saying, oh, that's a general term. It's like a servant in the church or a worker in the church. But I beg to disagree. As many scholars beg to disagree because of the next phrase, a deacon of the church in Cenchrea. Meaning, that is very specific. He's not just one of the, he is a deacon of the church in Cenchrea, which means Phoebe is a key servant leader in Cenchrea, the church in Corinth. By the way, where is Cenchrea? So if remember again, in Priscilla and Aquila when I preached, remember Paul shaved his head before they traveled to Ephesus. That was in Cenchrea. So there was an outreach. This is a northeastern part, a port city in that part of the world where all the ship would dock there. Apparently, si Paul started the church there in the port city of Cenchrea. Taga dun po si Phoebe. And I was just imagining last night, gaano ba kalayo ang travel ni Phoebe? Just to give us some bearing, no? That's Corinth, Cenchrea, and Phoebe would travel all the way to Rome, 2 to 3 weeks by boat, probably. Phoebe might be a businesswoman, familiarly traveling this route, not only because she's wealthy, but she's one of the deacon. The word deacon that Paul used is diakonos. Deacons were very important servants in the New Testament church, providing practical help, spiritual leadership support, missions in the community care. Actually, chapter 6 of Acts, remember, they started to choose deacons. But most of them are men. Now, if you will notice, there is a criteria in a patriarchal world where how do you choose deacons? What are the qualifications of a deacon? Here's the qualification according to Paul. In AD 67, he was writing to Timothy, a pastor in Ephesus. He said, in the same way, Timothy, you're now the pastor, you're choosing elders, now choose deacons. In the same way, deacons, diakonos, are to be worthy of respect. Okay, am I worthy of respect? Hindi fake. Not indulging in so much wine na nakakailang bote na ng red wine, justification na, di ba? Not indulging in much wine, hindi lasengo, not pursuing dishonest gain, not corrupt. Okay, these are the qualifications. They must keep hold of the deep truths of the faith with a clear conscience, meaning you are able to explain, you know, and you believe the deep doctrines of the Scripture. Oh, wow. They must be first tested. Wow. How? How do you test? Give them some small assignments. Are they faithful? Oy, ay late. Laging late. Paano magiging deacon? And then if there is nothing against them, let them serve as deacon. Not only that, look at the next one. Kaya ang bigat eh. In the same way, the women, or some translations means, if the person is married, the women are to be worthy of respect. So hindi lamang yung lalaki, pati yung babae. Not malicious talkers. Ano yung malicious talkers? Yun yung, uy, alam mo ba? Mga marites nung panahon. Not malicious talkers, but temperate and trustworthy in everything. Picture this in mind, si Phoebe. How does Phoebe fit to be a deaconess? A deacon must be faithful to his wife. What a requirement. And must manage his children and his household well. So kailangan yung mga anak, di ba? Kasi nga sabi ni Paul, if you cannot manage your family, how can nga naman manage the church? That's the argument of Paul. Those who have served well, meaning they have already been tested, gain an excellent standing and great assurance in their faith in Christ Jesus. You see, in other words, your faithful heart will set you apart. Our faithful heart. Now, let's go back to Paul. Chapter 16, verses 1 and 2. This is so loaded verse. I commend to you our sister Phoebe, a deaconess of the church in Cenchrea. I ask you to receive her in the Lord in a way worthy of His people and to give her any help she may need from you. Two things. Dalawa ang hiningi ni Paul. Here's Phoebe a deaconess, a servant leader in Cenchrea, meaning vouching for the character of Phoebe. Okay? Dumaan na siya sa proseso. Now, I ask you two things, church. Remember, he was writing to a church na hindi pa nakita ni Paul. And here comes a bearer, a woman in a patriarchal society na very biased sa mga babae. And yet Phoebe was being recommended and commended by Paul. I ask you two things, church, brothers and sisters. First, to receive her in the Lord. What does it mean to receive someone in the Lord? It simply means kung paano mo tatanggapin si Jesus, tanggapin mo rin siya. Because she is in the Lord. If you receive the Lord, kasama siya. Meaning, without any conditions, with respect, receive her in the Lord in a way worthy of His people. In other words, with red carpet, give her the due honor. Please treat her properly. Kasi nga alam ni Paul babae, baka hindi nila masyadong papansinin that somebody would not listen because a preacher is a woman. Paul said, please receive her in the Lord. The first thing, receive her. Tanggapin nyo ng bukas sa loob ninyo. Please acknowledge, respect her in the Lord as you would receive someone as God's people. The second thing that he asked is to give her any help she may need from you. Wow, it's like a blank check. Please assist her of anything. It's like a blank check. Ano man ang kailangan ni Phoebe, paki-assist po ninyo. Make her comfortable in her visit because she's carrying probably in his mind something very, very important. This verse is so loaded, no? One more thing. And then Paul said this lastly, I commend to you our sister Phoebe, a deaconess, diakonos of the church in Cenchrea. I ask you to receive her in the Lord in a way worthy of His people, with respect, red carpet, treat her with honor and everything, to give her any help she may need from you, not only food, guidance, tour, whatever. Why? Why, Paul? Why are you asking so much about this woman for her? Because she has been, what? The benefactor of many people, including me. Wow. The word benefactor is very intriguing. So he used the word adelphi. He used the word diakonos. Those are very important words in the Greek. And then here he used the word prostatis. Prostatis in the Latin translation is patrona. Prostatis means a helper, a support. In other translation, it's also to direct or to preside over. Because a prostatis, a patrona or a benefactor is a person of wealth and prominence in the ancient Greco-Roman world. Now, Phoebe is not just an ordinary woman, leader of the community. Benefactor meaning from her own pocket and resources. She's generous, hospitable like Lydia. Remember Lydia, the purple merchant who opened her house? And some scholars, most of them that I read, believe that she owned the house, and the house in Cenchrea, the church in Cenchrea is meeting at her house. Phoebe, as a patroness, was likely a wealthy public servant in the community in Cenchrea and perhaps the host leader of the church in her house. Wow! Kung merong patriarch, siya maaaring matriarch. Now, in other translation, let me end with this. In the New Living Translation, I commend to you our sister Phoebe, who is a deacon, actually in the Greek, who is also a deacon in the church in Cenchrea. Welcome her in the Lord as one who is worthy of honor with due respect because of what she has done among God. Help her in whatever she needs. Why? For she has been helpful to many and especially to me. Romans chapter 16 is a very rich chapter. More than 30 names were mentioned, and the first one was a woman. Actually, 10 of those 30 names were women, leaders. I used to think that Apostle Paul is a very theologian, very task-oriented, wala siyang panahon sa relationship. But when you read Romans chapter 16, It's the other way around. Paul was a very relational person because he would name them and be very endearing when he comments, she is our beloved sister. He would comment something very personal in those names of people. Half of their names are the ones greeted in Rome. The other half of the names are the one greetings from Corinth. Now that we are going through a follow series, what about us today? Are we commendable followers of Christ like Phoebe? It's hard, no? Because our life in the church must be the same our lives outside. I can imagine Phoebe. When the name Phoebe was mentioned, everybody would vouch for her. And I recall what Jesus said in Luke chapter 16. After giving the parable of the shrewd manager, he ended it with saying, if you are faithful, in other translation, trustworthy in little things, you will be faithful in large ones. But if you are dishonest in little and small things, you won't be honest with greater responsibilities. In other words, our faithful heart will set us apart. Will make us distinguish. Kakaiba ka. Pag in-evaluate ka ng employer mo, ng supervisor mo, I hope they may not only see our skills. Young people, listen, not only our talents and abilities, but it should be coupled with a good character. Itong taong ito maaasahan, trustworthy, because that will set you apart from the rest. Because before you are trusted with bigger things, the testing is here, the small things. If we are faithful with $1,000, and then the Lord promote us to $2,000, and He sees us faithful, God will entrust us with bigger things. Now the question remains for each and every one of us. Look inside and ask ourselves, am I trustworthy? Ako ba yung tao na pag naimbita ka o nabigyan ka ng responsibility, no matter how small and menial the work, you give your best? Especially now that we are followers of Christ, whether in the church or outside of the church, we do it in the eyes of one Master who is in heaven. Our takeaway is your faithful heart will set us apart. Pag tumingin ng Diyos, anak, matalino ka sana kaya lang mandaraya ka That's not a good tandem. Okay ka sana, matalino ka, gifted ka and everything, pero hindi ka trustworthy You know, the other way around is true If we are unfaithful, with our unfaithful heart, that will tear us apart. Which is true. So sana dito sa atin sa lahat, alam ko hindi madali, with God's help, as we continue to follow Jesus. Kaya nga, di ba, may bagong lifestyle, nag-change tayo. As we study the scripture, nagbabago yung buhay. The more we follow Jesus, the more He changes us. And other people will see that. And that will set us apart. So my challenge for all of us is be faithful by starting in small things. Huwag muna tayo mag-aspire ng bigger things. Small things. And the most important thing is the eyes of God that sees us. This principle is very true. Very, very true. Not only in the Christian world, but even in the non-Christian world, they are now looking for character, integrity, reliability. I used to think mga secular world, they don't think about character. Maybe before. But now, they would fire any person who is not morally right, any bad record in your previous company, because our character defines us. Pero ang isang taong magandang ugali, kaya nga sa probinsya, tama, sabi ng mama ko anak, sabihin mo lang anak kita, pautangin ka dyan. Ganon katindi yung pangalan ng mama at papa. Ay, anak ba to ni brother? Ay, sige anak, 1 kilo, gawin mo ng 1 kaban. Kilala ko ang tatay niya Look at the character. Di ba? Uuwi ka, ang dami mong pamalengke na hindi ka man lang nagbayad. Nakalista yon. Pag sweldo ni tatay, nag-aabang na sila sa labas. Pero if a good payer, di ba yung record? So let us be faithful, all of us. And where do we start? In small things.